Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Mad Butthole mixed with some relationships too. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. So this first story comes from Apprehensive Grab 27. It does come with an update and it's titled, Am I the Arsehole for Cutting My Child's Inheritance? Throwaway account. Backstory. 2 years ago, I, 46 female, lost my husband in an accident and I was heartbroken. We had 3 children and I thought we were very happy until his mistress showed up at my door demanding money to support the child my husband fathered. I didn't believe her, but she was able to prove it with screenshots, messages, etc. The image that I had of my husband was forever tainted and he left me with a mess. Because of bitterness about betrayal and how offended I was by the mistress's lack of remorse and entitlement, I told her she wasn't getting a dime and that she shouldn't have slept with a married man. She kept harassing me, and when it wasn't going to work, she went to my husband's family to put pressure on me to give her what she wanted. She even tried to involve my children, leveraging her silence for money. I knew that once I gave her money, she would come back, so I told them myself. My husband and I had high-paying jobs, lucrative investments, savings, and I got a sizable amount from the life insurance policy. I consulted a lawyer, and while she could prove the affair, it didn't prove paternity, and since my husband wasn't on the birth certificate, nor could she produce that my husband acknowledged the child, she had no case. After my lawyers sent her a strongly worded letter, I didn't hear from her for a while, and I thought it was over, until my oldest, Alex, 19 female, came to me and said that she did a DNA test with the mistress behind my back. She said that she did it because she wanted to get this resolved. The child deserved to know who their father was and get the financial support they were owed. My husband had a will that stated each of his children were to split an inheritance that they would only get access to when they went to college and couldn't get full control until the age of 25. When the results came back, proving that my husband was indeed the father, the mistress took me to court. It was a long, legal battle, but eventually a settlement was made. I sat Alex down and explained to her that her inheritance would be split 50-50 between them and her half-sibling as part of the settlement agreement. When she asked if my other children had to split theirs, I told Alex no. My husband's will stated that it had to be split, but it didn't say that it had to be split equally until each of the children turned 25. I had full control. Alex was upset, saying that it wasn't fair. I countered saying that it wasn't fair that my other 2 children had to get lesser share because of my oldest's choices, and if they wanted their full share, they shouldn't have done the DNA test. There's still plenty of money for Alex to finish college, she just won't have much after that, and I do plan on dividing my own estate equally in my own will. All of this Alex knows, but they are still giving me the cold shoulder. My own siblings think that it wasn't fair, and I'm punishing Alex for doing right by her half-sibling, but I don't see it that way. Am I the arsehole? And as I said, we do have an update to this story, but why MMV Buzz says, for the questions you asked about punishing Alex, you're the arsehole. If you were so sure this child wasn't your husband's, you should have gone for the DNA test yourself, but instead you went to court and put people through a long, expensive legal battle, hoping to set aside the very clear instructions in your husband's will about taking care of all his kids. Good for Alex for settling the matter. If it hadn't been him, it would have been one of the other kids or a different relative of your husband's. It wasn't even your money, just your pride and desire to punish your husband and his girlfriend. Now you're punishing Alex for taking your enemy's side and doing right by his half-sibling. You are fighting a losing battle by using money to control and punish your kids. All you'll do is turn them away from you or convince them to play nice until they get their money. For the broader situation, your husband is the biggest arsehole, followed by his girlfriend. I get that your husband betrayed you, but don't punish Alex because his dad isn't around to face the consequences. Cassie Leona says everyone sucks here. While I understand that this situation must be very hard for your family, you are the arsehole. The child has the right to know who their father is and your children have the right to a sibling. It is not cool to punish Alex for wanting to know if they have another sibling. Your husband's will said the money was for all his children, and this was one of them. However, it's not cool of Alex to do this behind your back, costing you legal fees. I should have talked with you about a better way to do this. Major Shane says, first of all, I'm really sorry this happened to you. I wish you the best. I say not the arsehole. It's a messy situation, no doubt. Your husband's will said split between the kids, so split between them it should be. If Alex really cared about the child deserved to know who their father was and get the financial support that they were owed, then she should have no problem sharing her inheritance. Also, in my opinion, she should have minded her own business and not gone behind your back to make a messy situation worse in the first place. A deleted user says not the arsehole, mostly because Alex was ready to be a knight in shining armor, as long as it wasn't his armor. Stylish says, your husband is the biggest arsehole. Sorry, had to say it. It's a difficult situation for everyone. I think you were trying to do right by your children, and so was the mistress, and Alex was just trying to do right by the half-sibling. Professor Snuggleworth replies to that saying, this is where I'm at. Husband let down his widow and all his children. To punish Alex for the dead husband's arsehole behavior seems misplaced, especially because it's not Alex's fault the dad had an affair and a secret child. It's possibly commendable and shows that OP raised such a compassionate and empathetic child that, regardless of circumstances, Alex was trying to do the right and ethical and moral thing. If maybe not the best decision, legally or socially. I don't think OP is the arsehole necessarily and needs to go out of her way to fix her husband's fuck-ups, but punishing Alex doesn't seem like a solution either. And one more comment from a deleted user who says everyone sucks here. I literally can't find one person who isn't an arsehole here, except maybe your younger kids. The mistress is the arsehole, not for going after her child's inheritance, but for doing it through your eldest. Your eldest is the arsehole for going behind your back and their siblings' back on such a delicate and sensitive matter. You are the arsehole for allowing your hurt and anger at the mistress and your husband to hurt an innocent party, that other child. You are less the arsehole because this is a hugely confusing issue for you, and a painful one, still. Frankly, in your shoes, I would split the inheritance equally among the four, deduct from Alex's share whatever you paid for the lawyers, and tell Alex that you need a heck of a lot of space from them because by going behind your back and making it all about daddy's other baby and what they deserve, they forgot that you deserve something too. Their honest support and loyalty. By going behind your back, they hurt you, and so you need a motherload of space. So then OP updates after the comments, and then we have a full update as well. So the comments update said, update, thank you to everyone's responses. Even the ones calling me, you're the arsehole, but based on a few frequent questions, comments, and or themes, I feel like I need to clarify some things. 1. Alex is my daughter, not my son. When I first started writing this, I wanted to leave gender out of it in case it influenced people's judgments, but then I remembered that Reddit tends to prefer that age and gender gets mentioned, so I added 19 female at the last minute. Hope that clears it up a little. 2. My other 2 children are Junior, 17 male, and Sam, 14 female. The half-sibling is now 5. 3. When my husband drafted the will 10 years ago, he initially named just our children, but a friend of ours had an oops baby, so he changed it to just his children, in case we had another one. At least that's what he told me. After the mistress threatened to tell my children, and I decided to tell them, I sat them all down and explained the situation. They were understandably devastated and asked if they really had another sibling. I told them that I didn't know and that if the mistress could prove it, she might get some money. I told them that if they wanted to know if they had a sibling or not, we could find out, but I made sure that they understood that their inheritance could be affected, and other people might come out claiming the same thing and get more money. Initially, all of my children said that they didn't want to have to deal with that, and so I did everything that I could to protect them. But I guess Alex had a change of heart. 5. Until the DNA test, I had no reason to believe that my husband's mistress was telling the truth and acted accordingly. I kept following my daughter's advice, and if she wanted the money, the burden of proof was on her. 6. While some of you might think I'm the arsehole, please understand that my decision wasn't spiteful. If I really wanted to punish Alex, I would just tell them that they weren't getting any more money since they already used some of it for their first year of college, so the guidelines of the will were technically already met. I still plan on leaving them an equal share of inheritance from my estate too. Next update. Thank you so much for so many responses, even the ones who didn't 100% agree with me because it did give me perspective. I also wanted to give an update and answer some questions to anyone who was curious, so here it goes. Since I told Alex what would be happening, she told her siblings and the house has been pretty tense. To try and make peace, I spoke to each of mine for a one-on-one and as a group to figure out what to do next. I spoke to Alex first and some interesting information was revealed that I'm very angry about. Apparently the mistress created a fake profile account and manipulated my daughter into befriending her. After gaining my daughter's trust, she pretended that she was in a similar situation as her and said that the DNA test proved that there wasn't any paternity. When Alex went behind our back, she thought it would prove the mistress was trying to scam us. My son, Junior, 17 male, is furious that Alex went behind our backs and doesn't care why she did it and blames it on her for being stuck with a half-sibling he doesn't want. My daughter Sam, 14 female, said she wishes she never knew the truth and is deeply upset. I asked my children that since they now know the truth, would they want a relationship with their half-sibling? Junior clearly wants nothing to do with the child and says that Alex should feel lucky he still considers her a sister. Sam says she doesn't want to, and I feel it's because she's in denial and wants to live life pretending that her father was perfect. Alex admits that she is curious but never wants to see or hear from the mistress ever again, so doesn't think a meeting will ever be possible. I proposed family therapy, and while my girls are open to it, my son says therapy is only for people who have something broken in them, and he's not broken. He's now happy that his father is dead and wants to change his last name as soon as he turns 18. I'm not going to force him, but I do hope he changes his mind one day. For clarification, because I keep seeing this, before I made my first post, before I told Alex what was going to happen with her share of the trust, the settlement was already finalized. There is no still cutting because it's already done. Technically, I could go back and renegotiate the terms of the settlement, but the mistress could try to come back for more money. Initially, she wanted the entire life insurance policy, 50% of the trust just for a child and 50% of my husband's savings. Her argument was that since I was still working and had a high-paying job, my children and I didn't need the money, and she was a struggling single mother. I'm honestly getting exhausted with everything to deal with that woman anymore and don't want to spend more on legal fees. Edit 2. I have not now, nor have I ever blamed Alex for her father cheating on me. That is ridiculous, and I don't know how people are coming to that conclusion, especially when I never said it was her fault. Edit 3. I've come to the realization that some people believe that Alex is getting absolutely nothing, which isn't true. There's plenty of money from the trust for her to finish college. She lives at home rent-free and I pay all of her bills, give her an allowance, allow her to use a car that's in my name, and she will get an equal share of my estate when I pass on. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Did your mind change from the initial post to the update? Let us know your thoughts and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Zara Hamilton X, who says, am I the arsehole for my reaction when my sister's boyfriend, when he mocked my husband's profession? I, female 32, went to meet my sister's new boyfriend. He comes from a well-off family and he himself owns a number of assets. My parents and sister are going nuts over this catch. They told me I had to come meet him and be polite, which I am normally, but they know I can get into arguments with guests who are not too nice. Anyways, so we met, we had dinner, then he asked about my husband's profession. I told him my husband was a warehouse worker. He looked shocked and asked about his age. I said 31. He made a face and said, in his 30th and works a job like that. Don't get me wrong, but I don't understand how women put up with that. I looked at him, confused, but he continued and said, I mean, working from 6 AM to 10 PM with barely enough money to pay for food and necessities. Must be frustrating to live with an individual like that. My parents and sister got quiet and looked at me, waiting to see how I react. I just leaned back, kept my cool, which isn't something I normally do, and said, no, not at all. In fact, I'm lucky to have him as my partner because looking around, I can see a lot of high-value men with low-quality character, and it seems like my sister just got one. He was shocked, and my sister looked at me like, what the fuck? He got offended and excused himself to the bathroom. Didn't even finish his dinner. My sister and parents went off on me saying I was way out of line for the shit I said, and that I just offended the dude and made him feel uncomfortable. He couldn't even finish his dinner. I pointed out how he insulted my husband, by extension me, and put his efforts down, but they told me to get over myself and that he was telling the truth. I mean, he never even met my husband. What truth could he know about him? They said he must have meant it as a stereotype, but I thought it was still unacceptable. Anyways, we argued and I had to go home. My sister sent a series of texts berating me and calling me a jealous bee and demanding an apology from me. Am I the arsehole? Did I go too far here? Demanding an apology from you. He's the one that went about ruining the dinner by being an absolute arsehole. He said it must be frustrating to live with an individual like that. Hell, it must be frustrating to live with an absolute arsehole like him too. He deserved to be called out for that absolute nonsense. And I think you just responded in turn from exactly what he was saying. He was being an absolute rude shit and he deserved to get that back on him. But MD Thomas says, apparently, your family is fine with people being arseholes if they have money. Tells you something new about them, not the arsehole. Cyveril says not the arsehole, he got what was coming to him. He's upset because you were telling the truth. Your sister and parents are shallow as hell to pick his side. Anna says, wow, all your parents and sister see is dollar signs. I bet if he slapped her or abused her, her parents as well as her would think that she is at fault. This kind of worship proves that the moral compass is broken. He meant it as a direct insult towards your husband, and kudos to you for seeing him and not the dollar signs. Nothing wrong with what your husband does, not the arsehole. Yuki-chan says not the arsehole, don't take blames you shouldn't. You didn't ruin the dinner. He did by being an arsehole. You just offended your husband. And also, pardon my French, but your sister can suck it. Your parents are also invited to this amusing activity. Because none of them stood up for your husband, so they think poorly of him as well. I think you were classy and also shows you see what matters and not a wallet. As your sister. Please make me proud and don't apologize. And one more from Big who says not the arsehole. He was being a judgmental, dismissive arsehole. He knew he was talking about your husband. He knew he was talking about you when he said, how can a woman stay with someone like that? There's no way to interpret his conduct other than he was saying your husband is not a worthwhile person. Someone like you who'd be a partner to someone like that makes bad choices. He was insulting you. You could have been more polite in your response. Example, have you ever worked a job like that? No? Then how are you so well informed as to have such strong views about it? But I'm not at all sure you should have. Just the option was there. Not the arsehole. He's lucky that someone who makes such poor choices didn't choose violence. Many might have in your shoes. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? How would you have dealt with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. And I know I say it all the time, but I can never express the true difference you really do make. If you do love a Reddit story, there'll be a playlist at the end with all the videos that you can select, and it just scroll through them automatically. So whatever you're doing, if you're running, walking, doing a bit of gardening, washing up, whatever you're doing, it will just play through them by itself. And just a huge thank you again, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today